Static on Channel 13. Lena Delgado had inherited the house from her grandmother 2 years ago, along with its ghosts and its outdated appliances. The basement was the one room she rarely entered. Damp concrete walls, exposed wiring, and that hulking 1980s RCA television squatting in the corner like a forgotten altar. Gran had kept it just in case the new ones break, she used to say. Lena left it unplugged for months, until the night it turned itself on. It happened at 3:33 a.m. on a Tuesday in early October. Lena jolted awake in her upstairs bedroom to the unmistakable hiss of analog static drifting up through the floor vents. She padded downstairs in socks, heart already racing, and found the basement door ajar. The TV glowed a sickly blue-white in the dark. No cable box, no antenna. Just pure snow, swirling and popping. She yanked the power cord from the wall. The screen went black. Silence returned. The next night it happened again. Same time, same static. This time she stayed longer, watching the patterns shift. For a moment the snow almost looked like tall, thin silhouettes standing shoulder to shoulder. She laughed nervously and unplugged it again. Old wiring, she told herself. That's all. By the end of the week, the static had form. Lena started keeping a notebook. Night 1, random snow. Night 3, faint vertical lines that could have been trees. Night 5, the shapes were unmistakable. Figures, maybe 7 feet tall, narrow at the shoulders, heads slightly elongated. They stood motionless in the white noise, facing forward. Their eyes caught the light like liquid mercury. She tried everything. New power strip, different outlet. Even a priest from the neighborhood church who blessed the house and sprinkled holy water on the set. The TV still clicked on at 3:33 a.m., as if the universe itself had it scheduled. One Thursday she left her phone recording on a tripod before bed. At 3:33 the TV hummed to life. The figures stepped closer to the screen, closer than they ever had. One raised what might have been a hand, long and jointed wrong, and pressed it against the inside of the glass. The hiss from the speaker formed syllables, backward at first, then clearer. Lena. She woke up screaming. The next morning her neighbor, Mr. Alvarez, was waiting by her mailbox with a concerned frown. "You okay? Saw you out in the yard around 4 waving at the sky like you were directing traffic." Looked happy? Lena didn't remember leaving the house. Her security camera footage showed nothing. But the video on her phone from the basement was still there. Except now it ended with her own face on the TV screen, smiling gently, saying in a voice that was almost hers, "They're nice, they just want to borrow tomorrow for a while." She smashed the television that afternoon. Lena dragged the old RCA up the basement stairs, piece by piece after taking a hammer to the screen. Glass shattered across the concrete. She hauled the carcass to the curb for bulk pickup, breathing hard, triumphant. That night she slept deeply for the first time in weeks. At 3:33 a.m., the sound returned. Not from the basement, from inside the walls. It was softer now, almost melodic. A gentle, static lullaby that vibrated through the plaster. Lena lay frozen in bed, staring at the ceiling. The sound moved, slowly, from the living room wall, down the hallway, and stopped directly behind her headboard. She didn't sleep again that night. The following weeks blurred into a haze of caffeine and paranoia. Lena worked from home as a freelance medical transcriptionist, which meant she could keep the lights on all day and the windows open. She bought a new smart TV for the living room and avoided the basement entirely. But the house had changed. Outlets sparked for no reason. Her microwave clock kept resetting to 3:33. Her reflection in mirrors sometimes lagged half a second. One rainy afternoon, she found the notebook she'd kept open on the kitchen table. New entries in handwriting that wasn't quite hers. They don't want to hurt you. Time is flexible on their side. Borrowing is kinder than taking. She burned the notebook in the backyard fire pit. That night, the static spoke clearly through the baby monitor she'd set up in the empty basement for safety. The voice was calm, genderless, slightly echoing. "Lena, come downstairs. We'd like to show you the other side of now." She unplugged the monitor. The voice continued from the unplugged device. The figures began appearing in other screens. Her laptop webcam flickered on during a Zoom call with a client. For 3 seconds, the background showed not her beige living room, but an endless white plain where tall silhouettes waited. Her client never noticed. Lena ended the call early, claiming bad connection. Her phone started recording on its own, short clips of her sleeping form taken from the ceiling corner. In one, faint silver shape stood around her bed, watching with mercury eyes. She stopped sleeping in the bedroom. The couch became her fortress. Lights on, TV tuned to 24-hour news, phone on airplane mode. Still, every night at 3:33, something in the house sighed her name. On the 17th night, she broke. Exhaustion made her bold. Lena marched into the basement with a flashlight and a fresh hammer. The ruined TV was long gone, but the corner where it had stood now had a perfect rectangular clean spot on the filthy floor, as if something had been sitting there for decades. She pointed the flashlight at the wall. "Whatever you are, leave me alone." The static answered from every direction at once. "We have been waiting since your grandmother first turned us on in 1987. She understood. She let us borrow small things. Minutes, hours. You have been asleep for a very long time, Lena." The air grew cold, her breath fogged. From the blank concrete wall, the mercury-eyed figures stepped forward, halfway through the solid surface as if the wall were only a suggestion. Their bodies were translucent, made of shifting static and starlight. No mouths, just those liquid eyes. One extended a long finger and touched her forehead. For a single heartbeat, Lena saw everything. She saw herself standing in the front yard at 4:07 a.m., smiling up at a silent silver disk hovering above the neighborhood. She saw tomorrow, her own funeral, sparsely attended. She saw versions of herself living different lives, one who never inherited the house, one who moved to Oregon, one who never woke up again. All of them borrowed and returned, slightly altered. The vision ended. Lena collapsed to her knees. When she came to, it was morning. Her neighbor was knocking on the front door. "You left your garage open all night," Mr. Alvarez said, "and you were waving at the sky again." Lena looked down at her phone. A new video waited. This one showed her in the yard at 4 a.m., arms raised, laughing with pure joy. Behind her, just at the edge of the frame, tall shapes stood in the tree line. Watching, approving. She deleted it, then restored it, then deleted it again. The borrowing escalated. Lena would lose entire afternoons. She'd sit down to eat lunch, and suddenly it was dusk. Her grocery deliveries arrived with items she didn't order. Strange metallic canisters with no labels, old VHS tapes of static. One tape, when played on her new smart TV, showed her grandmother at age 40, calmly talking to the RCA in the basement. "Take what you need," Gran said on the tape. "Just bring her back when you're done." Lena screamed at the screen until her throat bled. She tried to leave. Packed a bag, got in her car, drove 30 miles toward her sister's place in Raleigh. At the county line, the radio filled with static and her GPS reset to her home address. When she looked in the rearview mirror, her own eyes were mercury for half a second. She turned around and drove home. The house welcomed her. Lights flickered warmly. The static hummed a lullaby from the walls. On the final night, she stopped fighting. Lena descended into the basement at 3:30 a.m., wearing her grandmother's old housecoat. She sat cross-legged on the cold floor where the RCA had been. At exactly 3:33, the air split open like torn fabric. The tall figures stepped fully into the room, 6 of them, graceful and patient. They didn't speak with voices. They spoke directly into her mind. "We borrow time the way you borrow breath. Your grandmother gave us 37 years. We would like to borrow from you now." Lena whispered. "What do you need it for?" "To understand tomorrow. Your species moves so quickly through it. We only want to watch the moments you throw away. The quiet ones between heartbeats." One of them touched her hand. Her skin tingled with electric warmth. She felt herself lifted, not physically, but somewhere deeper. She stood in her own front yard again, but this time she could see the silver disk clearly. It wasn't a ship. It was a window. Through it poured endless white static and patient silver eyes. When Lena opened her eyes, she was back in the basement. Alone. The static was gone. The house felt lighter. She walked upstairs. The clock read 7:12 a.m. She had lost 4 hours, but it felt like 4 lifetimes. Her neighbor waved from across the street as she stepped outside for the mail. "Morning, Lena. You look well rested." She smiled, genuinely smiled for the first time in weeks. "I am." Later that afternoon, she found a small silver object on her kitchen counter, smooth, warm, no seams. When she held it, faint static played like distant music. She never smashed it. Some nights, at 3:33 a.m., she still hears the soft hiss from inside the walls. Now she smiles and whispers back, "They're nice. They just want to borrow tomorrow for a while." And somewhere on the other side of now, tall silver figures watch the quiet moments of her life on an endless loop of beautiful static, learning what it means to be human, one borrowed heartbeat at a time.
This has been a story from the other side of now. If you enjoyed this story, like, comment, and subscribe.